So was there,
I
when you
was,
first realized you had these gifts, did you have any fear attached to it? Did you see things that scared you, or did you feel spirits or energy that frightened you? Welcome to Spiritually Hungry. Today we have a very dear guest and a friend of mine, the Eaglewoman. Welcome. We're so excited to have you on our podcast today.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here with both of you. Thank you.
You have such an interesting heritage that I'd love for you to share. And you started to find your gifts when you were a small child. So let's start there, I think. I've had some personal experiences with you, which I'll share some of it with our audience later, but super exciting. So tell us how it all started.
Well, it all started when I was just a wee child. I was like about 3 years old, actually, when I started to see. I started to see spirit. I started to speak. My mother says that I was speaking a language she didn't understand, but that I would go and I'd tell her, or a certain way, I'd say, I'd point. For instance, there was this beautiful woman that used to come to me, and I would point to her and I'd say, blue woman, blue lady, blue lady. And my mom would say, blue lady? Hmm. And she says, who could be blue lady? So she called up my uncle Domingo, and he's actually a shaman, medicine man. And she said, she's pointing to this blank wall over there, and she's saying that there's a blue lady. And so he said, really? He said, okay, take her to the Catholic Church. Take her to don't say anything, just walk her in the church. I have a feeling I know who she's speaking to. So my mom, she did the next day. She took me to church, and I looked around at all of, she says that I was looking at all the icons. I was looking at all the saints everywhere. And then I looked over at Mother Mary and I pointed, blue lady, blue lady. And so my mom said, oh, okay. So you're speaking to Mary, Mother Mary. So she went back and she shared it with my uncle, and he said, I had a feeling that that's who it was. And then I started to, as I got older, after 5 years old, that's when I believe that it just came in really strong for me. And I started to see all sorts of spirits. I used to see a medicine man with a headdress that I would say, I would tell my mother and I would describe him. And she said, oh, so we would always go back to my uncle because he medicine woman, he's a medicine man, he's a seer. So he would say, okay, describe who you saw. And I would describe, and he said, oh, that's your great great uncle. I said, really? He said, that's Uncle Geronimo. He said, we are direct descendants to Geronimo, Goyakla. I said, oh my goodness, as I got older, I started to realize that this heritage, this lineage that I carry, and it's from my mother's side. I'm Apache Chiricahua on my mother's side, and on my father, I'm Toltec. So he's from Veracruz, Mexico. So my grandmother, she used to study the ways of the Toltec, and she was very intuitive also. So I got it from both sides, and it came in pretty strong. But I did my practice as I started getting older, into my teens. I would communicate with my Uncle Domingo. He'd take me, we'd go up in the mountains, and he'd teach me. He'd teach me the ways. He'd show me, even speak some of the language of the Chiricahua, because he was very fluent in speaking Chiricahua Apache because he was very young when he was on the reservation. The story goes that my grandfather took my grandmother off of the reservation, kidnapped her, took her away, but she was there And she stayed there. She lived there, her and my grandfather, for until my uncle was born. He's firstborn. And then they moved away. And they moved and traveled actually up north, and they traveled to California here. So it's an interesting lineage to find out who I'm related to. And, just especially because direct descendant to Geronimo Goyakla, it's pretty, like, that's pretty amazing to me. I was like, wow, wow, that's amazing. It's the warrior. He's known as the passionate warrior. And so, and he was very intuitive. He was also a shaman. They used to call him the war shaman because he was a strategist, and he definitely knew how to strategize when he was being under attack, or our people were being under attack. He would have solutions. He would know where to hide, where to go, especially up in the mountains. And so I was told many great stories about how he used to have these amazing, phenomenal visions and speak to Great Spirit.
Were you
And
ever were you ever frightened by some of the things that you saw? And then you weren't always the Eagle Woman, right? So that transition or that ceremony kind of occurred when you were, I believe, 31. Is that right?
absolutely, yes.
So was there,
I
when you
was
first realized you had these gifts, did you have any fear attached to it? Did you see things that scared you, or did you feel spirits or energy that frightened you?
absolutely. I would run home from school because I would see these spirits that were very dark. And I'd run home and I'd open the door. My mom says, "What's going on? What's wrong with you?" And I said, "I'm being chased by these demons." And she said, "Oh, okay." And I'd run in my room and I would sit there. I'd close the door and I'd sit and I'd go into meditation. And I was about maybe 13 when I started to have these visions of the dark side, the dark entities. They would come to me. So when I would, of course, go back to my uncle, my teacher, and I would tell him that I'm seeing these dark spirits. And he said, they're trying to attack you because you've got a special gift. He said, so of course that's going to happen because they're going to try to distract you from your gift. You have a very special gift. That's why. So then I understood. But it was still frightening to see these entities.
For sure.
I was going to ask, you mentioned your uncle being your teacher and that he would take you and give you over some teachings. Are there any that you can share with us, or are there any that stand out? One or two or three of the main teachings that he shared with you?
Well, he taught me very much about breath medicine. He would always say that your breath is your medicine, and always make sure to know how to labor your breath, especially if you're in communion with Creator, and always make sure that you calm the breath. And yes, there is a teaching, actually. He taught me this 4 breath medicine breath, which is, it's, to me, I cherish it because it's a, if you like, I can share it with you.
I think so. Yes. Yes. We would like that.
Yes.
So the 4 breath medicine is, it's like if you're sipping out of a straw. So you would take an inhale, and then you take another, and then another, and then another. And on the 4th, you sustain it. And I always see that my wings, it's like you expand the back of your heart, and then you exhale it out. So we'll do it again, this time 4 breath medicine. And each time, take it in, sustain. It's not holding your breath, it's expanding your breath. And then release. What this does, it connects you to a spiritual practice of Creator. It connects you to Creator. And it's very important that it comes from 3 fingers below the belly button. So when you're doing it's not at your chest, so we can do it again. So it's 3 fingers below the belly button. That's where the Sikhem, the life force, the God force energy is. So you would take it from there, sustain. And when I say sustain, see that you're actually expanding the back of your heart and you're expanding out to the ethers. You're expanding to touch Creator's robe. It's just that you're opening your heart up and then you exhale it out. So it's not holding your breath, but it's expansion.
It's interesting. I've always wondered when we've had sessions together, I would see you do that. And I was trying to make sense of it. I never asked you until now. And I thought maybe it was a way, because it was a question I was going to ask you anyway. A lot of healers often have some kind of discipline where they are removing the energy they're taking from the people they're helping, right? Because if not, sometimes they get sick, or they a lot of healers often do get sick because they're taking all of these kinds of energies and the pain and the sorrow and the anger. So I thought it was a way of you releasing it from yourself as you felt it. Is that part of it?
It channels through me. So the medicine breath you're speaking of is channeled through me for thee. So when it comes through me that way, it's not what I've just showed you, taught you. That's the breath to just so that you can connect up. We do that before. But then while I'm working and I'm healing, it just it will come through today too, automatically. When I'm connecting up to Creator, it'll come through. Or when I'm releasing something, exactly, that's it. If I'm releasing something from you, there it is. It's the breath that comes through me. And it comes through it. And sometimes it can sound like a very strong acceleration, which you've experienced. It's a very strong acceleration. And I say to the clients, don't be alarmed, because this is the way that I release. Whatever I'm pulling out of you, I'm releasing it. At first, when it started channeling through me, I used to get a little bit embarrassed. I used to say, oh my goodness, this doesn't sound. But then I heard Spirit say, this is the way you do it. This is your breath medicine. This is a modality that is necessary, because if you don't do it, you're going to get backed up and it's going to affect you. Exactly. You could even become sick, just like you said.
So when you became, I guess maybe this is not the right word, but anointed, right? You were given the name Eaglewoman. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
That's a beautiful way of putting it, because it was an anointing. It's an initiation. And I didn't have any idea that I was going to be initiated into Eaglewoman. So my sister-in-law and we went on the reservation, which is the Blackfoot Reservation. That's my husband's tribe, lineage. So I was taken there, and there was a medicine woman there, Elsa, who had a dream about me. She dreamt me and said to our friend, Willie Big Bull, said, you need to bring her here. It's time for her to receive her medicine. She's got work to do. It's time. So he calls me up, my sister-in-law and he says, you got to come down. We have a ceremony to do. And I said, what, a ceremony? Here I was 30. And I said, okay. And we jumped on the plane. We went to the reservation. There was 4 days, because everything comes in a 4-day for us, 4-day fasting, 4-day, if we go into a sweat lodge, there's different, ceremonies, but 4 is a very powerful number for us. So we did ceremony for 4 days. And on the 4th day, that's when I was initiated. And they take you, the medicine woman, Elsa, we had the chief that was there of the community, and they take us in a circle. And so she took me in a circle. She presented me to the community. And she said she's going to be receiving her spirit name today. And she's just a tiny little lady. And so I thought, okay, she was so tiny, petite. She put her hand right in the center of my back, right at the back of my heart. And she said a prayer invocation. And she just touched me. And I went, oh, it was like she pushed me forward. I'm like, oh my goodness, this woman is powerful. And when she did that, I felt this energy go inside me that was so strong that I felt like I was going to faint, like I was going to fall over. And then I was presented my eagle feather. And then she shared with the community my name, Eaglewoman, messenger of Creator. And she is the one who brings the healing into the earth plane for all those that enter her pathway. So I was like, oh my goodness, this is huge. It's a big responsibility to, what am I supposed to do? I shared it with Willie Big Bull, a dear friend of ours, and who was there, who brought us there. And he said, well, it'll come to you and we will help you with it. And we will share now that you carry a medicine. This is who you are. And I thought, whoa, it happened too, the significance of the number 30, turning 30. It was like that was it. Once that happened, it was like everything changed in my life. It was just my food. I couldn't eat certain foods. I would start to, get sick. It was like it was all being aligned. I mean, I used to have like wine, at dinner. And I took a sip of wine when we came back home, and I thought it would this be celebratory. It would be and I gagged, and I had to excuse myself because I got sick. So everything just changed. It was so phenomenal for me. So that's how it started, my journey as Eagle Woman.
So in your work, I'm sure you see, because you said you see, you saw demons when you were younger. How do you handle the different energies or spirits you tap into? Because I'm sure some are positive, some are not. How do you know if they're coming to help or harm?
I always can feel the vibration. There's a vibration. When you were with me, I did the prayer invocation at the altar. And when I do this prayer invocation, it opens up the portal of the spirits, the divine, to come through. I call it the Council of Elders, the Divine Council of Elders, my ancestors, perhaps your ancestors that want to come in, whoever it is that wants to come in and that is pure, from a pure divine place. So I set the intention, I set the sacred space, and it's a sacred union. And that's my invocation. I thank you, Creator, for this sacred union here. And when that opens up, I can actually see the angelic realm. I can see the divine deities walking in the circle, because before you come in, I prepare the sacred space. It becomes a sacred space. I'm in there, I'm doing prayers. And I actually can see when I'm holding the sacred space, I see the divine deities. I see the holy master teachers walking in. It's like they come in, they're descending from, like it's like a ladder. It's so beautiful to see. So my work is to hold the vibration strong so that they can sustain their consciousness here on earth with us. Because as you know, we're a lot denser than the divine, than that seventh realm where, it's a different vibration. So it's important. And that's what Elsa, the medicine woman, actually said too. She said, you are the one that's going to be able to hold the divine consciousness here on earth. And again, what does that mean? I'm not sure. But then it came to me. It just became me. That's who I am. So when they come in, they're the ancestors, council of elders, everyone just sits and they wait. And then I call you in. So all this is happening before you enter the sacred circle. And when you come in, we're standing at the altar. And then I lead you into the prayer invocation. And when we walk into the circle, sometimes they'll say to me, walk the 4 directions, honor the 4 directions, of which I do. Or at times, the grandmothers will say, bring her directly to the center, the hub of the circle. which I call the assemblage point. And that assemblage point is very holy and sacred because I call it the creator-creation connection. I actually have seen a pillar of white light. When I bring you in, I can see the pillar of white light beaming right through your crown, through who's standing there, and the light, it's like a spotlight that comes upon us. And that is the place where we create, recreate, new beginnings. Everything is transformed in that place. So I advise people too, when they're not with me, to create a sacred circle. So they go through meditation, create a sacred circle where they are, and then see themselves walking to the center of the circle, and there's your assemblage point. And when you're feeling not well, or you're not feeling mentally stable, or whatever it may be, anxious, or a lot of emotions coming through, you go right there. And that connection that you have with Creator is so strong that it shifts anything that you may be experiencing that is negative or anything of illness.
Well, it's interesting. The first...
No, I was going to say, I thought that was a very important and beautiful idea. Maybe can you explain a little bit to our listeners who are hearing this for the first time, how they actually do that? It sounds like a meditation or a thought work that they need to do. So maybe just explain it a little bit more.
Well, what I like to do is I like to anoint the space first. I'll use sage or sweet grass, or you can even use water to anoint. You bless it. If you don't have holy water, you bless it with your intentions, with your heart. And then you visualize that you are in creating this sacred circle. You're standing right at the center, right at the hub. And so you're standing there first. And then you just see that you're creating this beautiful space with prayer and invocation, bringing in the divine. And then you'll walk out of the circle and you bless it. After you've blessed it, with me, I'm bringing somebody into the circle, but you can do it on your own, where you come into the circle after it's been blessed and after you've prepared it. It's a ceremony. So it's very important to prepare it as a ceremony. And then you walk back out. And then you see yourself walking, I say, from the west. We walk in, from the east. We're facing the west. So if you can find that place where you walk in from the east and you're facing the west, is where the ancestors, the grandmothers, that's where they are. That's where spirits, that's where they are. So we go right directly towards them and we stand right at the assemblage point. You can sit down in prayer, meditation, or you can stand, but just realize that you're connecting up to this infinite white circle of light. And what I like to do is I like to visualize that there's this infinite white circle of light that's right in front of me. And the invocation is bringing that infinite circle right, 3 fingers again, below the belly button. And as you inhale up, it's connecting through every cell of your beingness and your breath. When you exhale it out, there's the connection. And you do this as you're in the circle, and you continue to do it as long as you want to do. And then all of a sudden you realize that you are connected. I call this the creator-creation connection. It's with the breath medicine, the infinite white circle of light. And then you sit peacefully in meditation and prayer. And even by me explaining to you, I can see the white light shining as it's a spotlight upon us. And right through, there is this pillar of white light that goes through. And there you are. So you can actually create this anywhere you are, with your thoughts, with the thoughts that come through your third eye, with just visualizing anywhere you are. And just sit peacefully in that assemblage point. And the assemblage point is important to realize that that's the place of transformation.
The first time we sat together, I had come to you just after my father had passed, and my mother-in-law, who you know Karen very well, had passed just a year or two before, and it was in the same city. It was just coming back to that energy of kind of loss. So I didn't really know what to expect. And I remember I was just in Mexico and I had a horrible stomach thing going on. And I had never worked with you. I didn't know what to expect. And after we did this ceremony that you just explained to us, I laid down on the table and you just put your hands over my body. You didn't touch me. You just kind of scanned my whole body with your hands. And you go to my stomach and you're like, oh, and you felt it in your own stomach, what I was feeling, which I was like, wow, because I didn't say anything. And I remember thinking like, oh, when I get up, hopefully I'm going to feel a little bit better. I have to tell you, the first miracle of that session, I got up and my stomach was fine. It was as if like it was just gone. That there was no issue, no pain. And for a week, I tried everything. Like I think it was from bad water or ice that I had. But I tried everything and I just couldn't make myself feel better. So that was one. And then two, I was thinking about, was my father had an illness for 7 years. And right after he passed, and I think it's normal for a lot of people, I remembered him in the sickness. And I knew that wouldn't stay. I knew the memory would eventually go back to what his essence really was. But it was just so close to him leaving, it was still that residue of illness and death. But when we worked together, you said there's somebody here and you asked about my father and we talked about how he had just left. And I was envisioning him in the picture of like the height of his career, the height of his joy. And I was picturing myself. So I was 6 years old. He was in his 30s and he was just on top of the world. And that was the picture I had in my head with his gold ring and his suit. And he loved things and his alligator shoes. And, you know, my dad he loved physical things. And you start to describe that man. And then more than that, you start to taste something on your tongue. I don't know if you remember this because you meet with so many people, but you start to taste and you're like, who loved popsicles? I think it's like cherry flavor or grape.
Oh, yes.
And that's all I ate. Every summer we lived in New Orleans. Like I lived off of those, right? And you were tasting it. So and then Karen came later and we talked about that. It was just profound. So I want people to get a feeling of what it is you do because you can't really, and I want to talk about that too, because you're a healer, you're a medicine woman, you're a shaman, you have all of this history of like, you know, of of generations, right? It runs in your blood. So it's a really interesting way in which you're able to connect people. And then we spoke last night. And of course, my father was like first in line. And I didn't even think to call you and connect before we were going to meet today. But I shared with you right when we got started last night that my father for 2 weeks has been like around me more than usual, because usually he comes, but not every day. But he was like floating around me every day. And even one day I saw my grandfather, his father, which we were not that close. So I didn't know what that was about. Last night, the first thing she's like, I see your father and your grandfather and they're hugging and they want to tell you something. And I'm like, okay, this makes total sense. So I'd love for you to share a little bit about how you work. And also you mentioned, you know, sweat lodges, and I'm curious to know what you think about plant medicine. It's so popular today, and people are doing it very recreationally. And I do believe that there is a place for people who need that kind of extra assistance, especially if they're really suffering or they need a reset and they're just depressed or something. But I think that, you know, I can't tell you how many times people come to us and they're like, do you want to do this? And I'm like, no, I want to talk to the creator, like completely sober. I want to be able to get this message. And yes, it's so much harder and it's consistent work, but then you can see naturally if you put that work in. But anyway, that's my opinion. But I'd like to know, with all of your heritage and all of your experience, I'd love your opinion on all of that.
Well, I'm so glad you brought that up because, like I said, my uncle, when I used to go up into the mountains, he would say, you respect the plants, you respect them. And it's interesting because I remember going up to the mountain and I would see these plants and they looked unusual. I said, Uncle, what are those plants that you have there? And he said, those plants are sacred. They're medicine. So, well, don't touch them. I said, why? And he said, because they're prayed over and they're special. I use them as medicine. I said, well, what's the name? And he said, well, it's called marijuana, but you're never supposed to put it into your mouth. You're never supposed to smoke it. I use it with wintergreen. I put it in wintergreen and I use it for my arthritis. And that is the only way. Don't you ever think about, because there's people out there that smoke it and it turns bad on them. It's bad medicine when you smoke it. I remember I was like 15 years old when he shared that. And I was like, I'll never forget. I said, okay, okay. And he said, now come on. But that's what he would do, is he'd teach me about the plants. And he knew so much about different plants. But in our culture, in Peru and in the Amazon, they do ayahuasca and they do the plants that way. And I have respect for them and the way that they lead ceremony, because I do know a shaman from Peru, and it's so different from what they're doing out here as using it as recreational. Oh my goodness, it's bastardized. It's not how it should, it's not respected. It's not honored. So this medicine man shared how he goes through a protocol, everything is ceremony. And if you miss or you skip a certain protocol in the ceremony, everything could turn bad. And you could have like the worst experience. This is what he shared with me. And so he's a very honorable shaman in Peru. And he doesn't take looky-loos, what I call, or tourists that come in and say, I want to try ayahuasca. You're with him for about a month. And when you're with him, you have to go through every day leading up to the time he takes you on this, ceremony. He prepares you for a month. These nowadays, they're just, they get so excited. I hear people, I'm so excited, I'm going up to Malibu. There's a shaman up there and he's going to administer ayahuasca. And I said, oh boy, you'll be coming to see me in a couple weeks, because you should see how many people that I have doctored because they've had bad experiences. They take themselves too far out. And then when they come back, they don't know how to deal with reality. See, the thing of it is, you can go on these ayahuasca, you can take, ketamine, or you can take all of those doses that they mushrooms. You take yourself to those places, and I don't have to do that. I mean, it comes natural to me. I see more than what I want to see at times, right? Because it's a natural state. And that's what I do. What I am is I'm a seer, and so is my family, a lot of family members. We can go into those. It's called dream journey. We're dream walkers. So we can do that without any. And I could take you on a dream journey, and I would give you sage tea, and that's it. And then I would lead you through a meditation, lay you down as I did when you came in, and we can go into a soul journey, into a vision quest. That's what vision questing. Our culture, we don't give any plant medicine because we're too sensitive beings. It would hurt us. It's hurt many of our youth because they want to get on the bandwagon. They want to try this mushrooms and they want to try all this. We go on the reservation and, oh my goodness, it's not good what I see. It's hallucinogenic and they hallucinate. And then they don't know how to bring whatever they went on their journey to bring it back into their everyday life. That's why you hear people wanting to. I've heard people having like 50 ayahuasca trips. It's like, what? why are you taking all these trips? That's what I call them, trips. Is that how many times do you need to take yourself out of your reality? What are you searching for? Okay, you really have to go 25 times to go into that reality, that place. What happens when you come back? They don't know how to function. It's very, very sad to see because they lose there's a sense, something about they lose this sense, a sixth sense of life. It's like all of a sudden they're still connected to being taken out there. I've done so many soul retrievals, soul bringing the soul back
Tell us
from
about
people
that.
that have
How does
taken
that
these trips.
how does that work, and where do you yeah, yeah, tell us.
Well, I have to go to those places that they've gone to, and I'll tell you, when I go and to find the soul where it's been, it looks very dark. I mean, not there are some people who have a great experience on ayahuasca. They, come back and that, wow, I saw my relatives, I saw my father, I saw this. That's beautiful. But then there are those that they have fragments of their soul that are still stuck in those dark places. I go in there and it's really interesting because I shapeshift and I turn into a Black Panther. And I've done that just so that I can recapitulate, I can pull back the soul fragment. And I have to be careful because there are entities just waiting. And so I go in there, I pull the soul, I take it back, and it takes some time to go in that place. I have to make sure that, everything is aligned, the frequency is right, so I can get in there, get out. And I have guardians that are with me, of course. I get out and then I do what is necessary to bring the soul back into the person. And when you're fragmented, there can be a lot of missing pieces to why the person feels like so out of it all the time. They feel drained, they feel tired, they feel confused, they feel they're not in a reality here. So I bring them back and I tell them that it's going to take 3 days for the soul to be in alignment once again. And I want to hear from you. So they'll come back and say, I feel good. And I look at them and I can see that they're there. But there are those that are walking, I call them walking dead souls. When you take enough of those plant medicines, you can become a walking dead soul. And you don't have, you're separated from this reality. We're not supposed to be separated from this reality, this gift of life that we've been given. No matter how much hardship we go through or whatever it may be, it's supposed to be, you're supposed to go in it, go through it so that you can get to it without numbing yourself, but it's become such a fad that when I connect up to the ancestors and I connect to and I say, what do you feel about this? What do you think? And they say that they've removed their blessings from it because it's just like with tobacco. Tobacco is very sacred to the ancestors, the elders, but then it was abused. And so they pulled their blessings from it. And it becomes just, and it doesn't even become an energy. It's dead. So you have to be very careful when it's become too much of a fad and it's not safe and it's not honored. You must, anytime you're dealing with any kind of plant medicine, you have to invoke the honor system, the integrity. You have to ask permission from the ancestors. Can I do this? Is it safe? Is it okay that I do this? And you'll get either yes or no. I heard this one gentleman tell me that he went to do ayahuasca and it was like his fourth time and he was about to take a sip and he heard this loud voice that said, stop, you don't need this. Take yourself away now. And he said that he stopped and he said, I have to go because he heard Spirit say, stop. So
I think that's so
that
interesting.
is what I feel about it.
No, especially about there being a process, like a month preparation where somebody's working with you every day. I mean, that makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's interesting because I know that Monica, every time before she sees you, she has to bring an offering.
Yes.
I thought there was a cute story you shared with me yesterday with Abigail.
Oh, so I was with my youngest, Abigail, and I took her to get ice cream, and then we were going to meet later, so I knew I had to go buy the tobacco then. And I was with her, and so I had to explain to her why I was looking for tobacco. And I said, let's go I'm going to go buy some cigarettes. I'm like, and this is why.
Explain to our listeners. My listeners might understand why.
So it's an offering. You
right,
give
you
it
weren't going to smoke them.
No, I wasn't going to smoke them. It was an offering for the Eaglewoman. And in the end, they didn't have cigarettes at the store, so I was like, do you have cigars? And then they're like, which you want? I'm like, the least expensive one. This man didn't understand even why I was buying any of this, because I was like, I want the least expensive. You pick, you choose. And then we walked away, we went to the ice cream store, and we're coming back, and she was still thinking about it. And so she said two things. She said, it's actually great that, because I said, I wonder how much cigarettes are. I think they're like $17 or something.
Whoa.
I know. And I'm like, we're not going to use it. She's like, but it's great that you're buying it and you're not going to smoke it. It's one less pack of cigarettes for somebody else in the world, which I thought was really sweet.
Goodness.
I know.
Well, of course, coming from Abigail, she's so bright.
And then later she said, she calls Michael Abba. She says, does Abba know that you're getting cigarettes? I said, no. She's like, let's put it by the bed and we'll pretend that you have a new habit and this whole thing. But she was really taken by this idea of an offering, which was cute.
So, man, maybe it's good to explain to our listeners, what the need for an offering and how that works in your work.
Okay, sure. So tobacco, when, back in the days, and still today, I'm still carrying on the tradition of tobacco offering because I hold it as it's sacred. So what happens is when you go to see a medicine person, you give them the offering of the tobacco, which is very honorable, and it shows that you're allowing them, or you're trusting in them to give you the doctoring they need or the healing. But also the tobacco, when we send it up, the elders, the ancestors, they smell the tobacco and they come to take our prayers. So each morning, what I do is I open my front door, I get a pinch of loose tobacco, and I say, thank you for another day. Thank you, ancestors. And I put it out. And that's just, a way of just giving thanks to those elders, ancestors that are around us for being with us, protecting.
And making a connection, right? Making that connection. Yeah, beautiful.
So yes. There's something I heard you say. You have you say, forget what you know so you can remember what you forgot.
Yes. Forget what you know. Remember what you forgot. Forget what you know. Remember what you forgot. And I actually have to share that Yeshua, the Master Jesus, I'm sure you've heard his name around and know of him. He is actually the one who gave me that quote. He came to me and he said, take this and share it. And that's going to be an extension of your teachings on this earth, to forget what you know. And I asked him, well, what does that mean? He said, it's going to have so many different meanings. But one of the meanings is when you forget everything through your prayers, you're going through whatever it is that you experienced in the past, you forget what you know only to remember what you forgot. And that's sacred union. And that's love. That's what he shared with me. You return to Maker, Creator, sacred union, and you remember we're here to love, to receive love, and to give love. He said that is as simple as he could explain is that. And I thought that's really amazing, but it sounds so simple, but yet it sounds very, very complicated, and it's just, that's what he said. Another really great message that he gave, I've been in communication with him since I was little. And, it's not in the way of the dogmatic way of looking at it, but when spirits come to me, the divine masters come to me, I always see them and feel their spirit and really know them, how they are. And then I'll go and read about them. Or I'll say, Mother Mary came to me. I want to know what she was like here. Or, I want the spirit. They always come to me without me knowing about them. So that's my experience, my relationship with Yeshua, with Jesus, is that I've experienced him before I read anything about him. And that it's throughout my life. And the same with Mother Mary, Mary Magdalena, Moses. There's so many ascended masters that have come to me. But his teaching was this, that when we cross over, we're not judged. We're actually measured. I said, measured? He said, yes. He said, you're measured with the amount of love that you received and the amount of love that you gave. So when you give love, you're measured because your soul has so much light. And especially, he said, when you can receive love, because how many times it's so hard to receive the love of another. It's easier to give love, but it's hard to receive it. So he said that when you cross, there's measuring, because you can see how expansive, how big the light is of this love. And then you're placed in different places, that you're in different destinies, in different, how did he say? It's like, there's many different houses in my father's mansion, or there's different levels. And by that measurement, it determines where you're going to go. So you can imagine the people that don't have love in their hearts walking on the earth plane. You can imagine where they've gone, and where they have descended to. You can only imagine. I've seen it, because he showed that to me as well. And the people that have killed others, that have harmed many, and that have, these leaders that have killed so many people, I have actually seen where they've gone. He showed me. And it's very dark. But what is interesting, that soul has to see what he's done to others. It's like a hamster's wheel. He cannot get out of it unless he wakes up to his consciousness of knowing what he did wrong and asking for atonement, forgiveness, and being redeemed. So it takes a lot. It could take lifetimes. It could take, there's no time frame, but it can be very intense. I've seen it. And it's just incredible how you just continue. If you do anything really bad, just because you die, it doesn't mean it's over with. No, there's life after death. There's so much more that keeps going. And especially if you've done harm to others, that is like the biggest.
So I thought that was very interesting. What you're saying is that you saw that they have to do they have to experience the harm that they brought others, or be aware of it?
They experience it, and that opens them up to be aware of it. So if there's thousands of people that were killed under the hands or the dictatorship of this one person, they must experience every soul that they hurt. Can you imagine? And that's why when some people say, oh, he got away with murder. Look, he died, he got away. No, he didn't. I know where he is. And I know that it continues because of what he's done to others. Or I'm sure you can imagine who I'm speaking of.
Yes. Yes.
That's such an interesting way of visualizing it too,
Right.
like on a hamster's wheel.
Yeah, and I wanted to ask. I know that you worked with my mother, and I don't know how much you can or can share. But first of all, I just when did you meet her? And maybe if you feel comfortable in sharing a little bit of your experiences or anything that we can inspire others with your experiences with her.
Well, I have to say, I love your mother, and she's here with us now. Actually, she's in my ear. She says, "When are you going to tell them that I'm here?" And I say, "Okay, I will, I promise." But she actually came to me when I was getting ready upstairs. I was getting my hair, makeup, I was putting on, and she's just the funniest, and she's so witty, and she's so quick wit. I mean, just smart, and she's funny. And she'll just say, "Okay, already, come on, you look fine. Let's get going," or she'll just say these little things. She was there yesterday too with Monica when we were working. But she says, "When are you going to tell him that I'm here? I can see him." Okay. And so she is very much with us, and she's around you in a very strong way. She has her hands on your shoulders, and she's just loving on you. So you may feel her presence very strong around you. But your mother came to me, I believe, through there was somebody in the community in the Kabbalah Center that had a healing session with me. And so I believe she shared it with Karen, your mom. And your mom came to see me, and I didn't know who, because when you come to see me, I tell Nancy, don't tell me anything. I don't want to know anything about them, their resume, who they are. It doesn't matter to me what titles they have or anything. I just need to see their soul. And so she knows that. So she doesn't tell me who's coming in. And so when your mother came in and I began to work with her, I thought, this woman, oh, I could see like there were so many people around her. And I get chills speaking about it because when I saw all these people and I saw congregation and I saw her speaking, I said, "You're a very important person." I said, "I feel like you lead many. Are you a spiritual teacher?" And she smiled and she said, "Well, you could say that." I said, "That's amazing." And I said, "I see this center, and there's not just one center, but I see you traveling everywhere. And you have a husband that is also, I would say, famous, but both of you." And she's just laughing because, and she knows that I don't know who she is. And then I said, "I see these centers and I see a lot of people in these centers, and you're talking to them, and I see you as a leader." I said, "You're a spiritual leader, you're a teacher, you're a healer." And she smiled. She said, "Yes." She said, "You don't know who I am, right?" And I said, "No, I don't." I said, "But I do, because I feel your soul." And I said, "You're a woman of God." And she had tears in her eyes, and she said, "Oh my goodness, thank you. Thank you for saying that." And then after the ceremony was over, I said, "Now can you tell me what is your name? Who are you?" And she said, "I'm Karen Berg, and my husband, the Rev." And I said, "Oh my goodness, this is so incredible. What an honor to meet you. If you only knew, I've read your books when I was in my 20s, 30s. I would read and I'd have them by me." And she'd say, "Oh, really?" I said, "Yes. I'm a big fangirl of yours." And she would laugh and she'd say, "Well, now you're my healer." And I said, "Thank you." But I was so excited because before I met your mom, I revered her in her teachings. And I thought, wow, this is amazing. So to her to come to see me, this was like, and believe you me, I've seen people in high places and actors, actresses, and everything. I said, "No, she's the superstar for me." So she meant so much, and she still does because she is now on the council. So when I have a council of elders, your mother is there too. So she comes in, she helps me, she teaches. When there's somebody that's difficult, that maybe even from the center or that come from the Kabbalah Center, she shows up And she's not having any of it. I remember there was a woman that came to see me, and this woman was kind of difficult. And I could hear your mother saying, "You tell her, just be straight with her, and she needs to hear it." And I'm like, okay, here we go. But it always felt good that she was there with me to carry it on. And of course, we broke through that woman. And she finally, and then I would say, "Oh, by the way, Karen is here with us." She's like, "Oh," they would cry. She'd cry because, and I said, "And she is also the one who wanted me to share this with you." And she says, "I'm so honored." So, things like that happen. And it's just, it's so rewarding. So to work with your mother was very rewarding. And I still connect up to her. And I still, every now and then, she'll ask me to do something to adjust her, her soul grid in some way. So, but she's very much around you and your family, and she loves the grandchildren so much. She's always like, it seems like she's always fussing on them. She's like with Abigail, or there's a son that she's constantly like fixing him, adjusting his tie or making sure he's okay. It's like, okay. So that's what I see with your mom.
Beautiful. And there was actually one more story. And again, I think you shared this with Monica, and I hope you're okay sharing this publicly, because when my mother was ill, you were seeing her, and then right in all those weeks or months, right, we thought that the purpose of the meetings was to try to heal her from her illness, but then you shared with Monica that actually was not her purpose. In those meetings. Do you remember that?
It was not her desire.
It was not her desire. It was not her desire.
That's right. Because in the beginning, your mother I asked her, I said, "Do you want to heal from this? Is this what you want?" And she said, "Yes." I said, "Okay." And she asked about a surgery. There was something that they were going to try, an experimental. Do you remember that? There was something that they were going to do with her. And she asked if that she should do it, and I believe she did go ahead, right?
There was one, yes. Yes.
Yeah. And so I agreed. I said that would be good. And so when she came back again, then she was already in treatment, and she was really, she was gung-ho. This is what it is. Now, one day I remember she came in, or I went to see her when she was in her home. And it was a very intimate conversation. And I said to her, "Okay," so, because I could see a shift, I could see something shifted. And I said, "What is it do you want to do? Tell me, what is it you want to do? So I can give you that life force guidance and life force energy to go in any direction you choose." She said, "I think I'm ready. I think I want to go." I said, "Are you sure?" And she said, "Yeah." I said, "But you've got," and I was telling her, "You've got so much more to do. There's like, you've got this, look at so many people depend on you. You've got my family can do it. It's fine. I've done quite a bit. And it's time for them to step up." She said they can do it. And of course, I saw your face there, and I think do you have a other sibling or somebody else? You do. And I saw Monica, that I could start seeing the people that she was referring to, that she was going to hand over the baton, hand over the lineage, what she wanted to do. And I was feeling sadness because I don't, I loved your mom, and we developed this closeness that I wanted her to stay, and I'm sure that all of us did. And then, but it's her will. It was her divine, it's her free will. And when you make that decision, then it's that decision. And she wanted to be with your father. She really wanted to be with him. And she expressed that to me. And so she said, "I'm ready." And I said, "Okay." And then I just did the preparation. So from then on, it was more or less preparing her spiritually, preparing her soul, because that is a big part of my work as well, is to prepare the soul for transformation to the other side, as I help souls here to make their transformation in their, their physical body. I also help to bring them to the other side. So that's my journey with your mom, and I forever honored to be able to escort her, as I say, and lift her up and make sure. And I'll never forget when she did make her transition. I knew and I felt it, and I saw myself with her. And of course, there was Archangel Michael. There's all these beautiful, what happened is there's this eruption of the rapture. It's just, and she was enveloped with so much light and love. And so the respect that she had here on the earth plane, wow. I mean, I'm telling you, the masters, the ascended masters, the holy ones, they were like, whoosh. And so I know her journey back home was effortless, no pain, because she was taken, swept up immediately in that time when she chose. That was it. She took her last breath. It was beautiful to see. And I'm so glad you asked me, because I've been wanting to share this with you. I wanted to really share it with you, to show you that your mom was just enveloped with such magnificent light. And that's what Yeshua speaks of, is this light, this love that is so powerful. So you can only imagine how many people that she touched in this lifetime and how much love. So that's what happens. It's like, whoosh, you're taken up.
It's beautiful. Two things. That we were in the room with her when she took her last breath, and it felt very, the word that I always use, it felt very holy. It was a very beautiful, beautiful moment. And I think what you're saying, which is a new idea to me, that what happens is that all the love that a person created, shared, received, envelops them when they're leaving this world, and assuming that they have created a tremendous amount of love. It makes that journey much more simple. And maybe to inspire our listeners, knowing that if a person did not do that, it makes the journey more difficult. So really, hopefully, to inspire listeners to really endeavor to create as much love as they can, because that energy, that light, is what actually supports them when they leave this physical world.
Absolutely. It's 110%. That's what happens. It's the love that you gave, the love that you receive. That is where you're going to be elevated to. And with your mother, she was quickly elevated. It's like there wasn't even a stop into like what I call the spiritual nursing home. It's like, no, she was taken right up. Beautiful. And that is such a profound blessing, to be able to have that kind of soul. To be able to, I pray that happens, with me, because it's just a beautiful place. And with that said, I've seen how others have sometimes not survived their illnesses, and I see where they need to go in order for them to keep elevating and ascending to a higher degree of light.
I have one last question for you. I don't know if you have more, but in your experience with all the people that you've assisted, what do you find that most people struggle with in this world?
Well, they struggle with fear. A lot of people come in with a lot of anxiety, fear, the fear of the unknown, and also with, of course, death and illnesses. So they're afraid. And so I help to guide them into understanding life after death, and that you can or they come in also because they're grieving, because they've lost someone who they love so much, and it's the end of the world for them. So I open that up to show them that they're still here. They're with you. But the thing of it is I tell them, don't be too sad. Don't lower your vibration, because they can't get through to you. And that's really important. That's what Spirit tells me all the time, is that you can be sad and honor what you're feeling. But then, because we came here to learn from these emotions, and then it's time to release it so that your loved ones can come through. They can connect to you. And it's all about frequency. they feel us. They feel our vibration, our frequency.
I think that's such an important point. Again, I like to underscore when I hear something so important that you're telling, and unfortunately throughout our world, people are going through grieving all the time. But that if a person does not release, of course, it's natural to go through that. But if a person stays in that, it doesn't allow their soul to connect to the soul of their loved one who's left, which is an interesting paradox, right? Because what they're so sad about is the fact that they lost a connection, but it's their sadness that is maintaining that loss, right? Not allowing them to actually connect.
That's right.
To their loved ones who've left. Mm-hmm. So it's a beautiful idea.
Yes.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for many things, but thank you very much for joining us today. I know that we've inspired so many of our listeners.
Absolutely. Always a pleasure connecting with you.
I'm so honored. Thank you for having me. I can go on and on and on, but I know that there'll be other times that we get together.
Absolutely.
And thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bless you both. Bless you.
Thank you.